Hi everyone, welcome to this S6 history class. Today we're going to talk about the Eastern Front, or in other words, Nazi Germany's attempt to conquer the USSR. You can see in this picture Hitler going up against Stalin. I hope you realize that this is not an accurate depiction of what happened in this part of the Second World War. But I included this image here because I think it conveys the significance, the epic character of this part of the conflict. Now, today what we're going to do is first to give you a very short recap of the things that we've seen up until this point. We're going to review some of the actions of Hitler from 1933 to 1939. And then, if you remember, at a certain point, Hitler would decide to invade France, and he would be able to do so successfully, in the process conquering other countries as well, namely Belgium and the Netherlands. The British would be expelled from France, and for a time they would be alone in fighting the Nazis. For instance, in the Battle of the Atlantic, which would span several years. Fortunately for Britain, they would be able to, as you already know, win this battle. Also, the Battle of Britain, or Hitler's attempt to invade the British Isles, a series of air raids and aerial attacks, which, again, luckily for Britain, they were able to withstand. This phase of the war would transition to the Blitz, or Germany's bombing of major UK cities, hoping to demoralize the British public so that they would demand from their government a surrender to Germany. But then Britain would be able to hold its ground, and so Hitler would give up this dream of invading Great Britain. Eventually, he would launch the invasion of the USSR. We already know the outcome, not very successful for Hitler and Germany. So the central question for today becomes, how were the Russians able to do it? Before we get into that, let's do a quick review of Hitler's actions from the moment he gained power in 1933. 35-36, he would start rearming Germany. He would make a gamble and send troops into Rhineland. 36 and 37, he would enter into an agreement with Japan and Italy to stand against the communists. He also gets involved in the Spanish Civil War, trying out his new weapons. By 1938, he would take over Austria, be successful in getting Sudetenland, the Sudetenland in Czechoslovakia, and not satisfied with that, eventually invading the rest of the country, as well as Poland, which would constitute a red line for Britain and France, which would then declare war on Germany. What's not included in the table is this agreement between the Soviets and the Nazis to not interfere in the others' military actions, as well as to divide Poland between themselves. On this slide, you see two maps. One, a 1938 map showing the borders of Russia and Germany in blue. And by the time they're done invading Poland, you can see the expansion of Russian territory towards the west. and then the enlargement of the blue areas referring to German territory, effectively partially fulfilling one of the main goals of Hitler, which was the expansion of the German Empire eastwards. Now, even though Hitler and Stalin never really trusted each other, their agreement, the Nazi-Soviet Pact, was quite beneficial to both of them. Hitler was able to fulfill part of his goal, and from Stalin's point of view, he was able to gain some time to prepare for an eventual and probably inevitable war with Germany. Even so, the execution of Operation Barbarossa, the name for the plan to invade the USSR, that was a surprise to Stalin. This was launched on the 22nd of June 1941, and the month is important. 3 million German troops would pour into the USSR, and in the beginning this was a total catastrophe for the USSR. On the first day alone, over 1,000 aircraft would be destroyed. Within the first 3 months, all of Russia's air and tank forces decimated as well. By the fall of 1941, an important city, Leningrad, was already under attack. Germany reached and occupied the Ukraine. The capital, Moscow, was in sight. This was a big blow to the Soviet economy. As you can see here, the Nazis were able to capture 50% of the food supply of Russia, a chunk of their electricity generating power, and a staggering 75% of their heavy industry, meaning iron, coal, and steel. This map shows you the movements, the directions taken by the German forces, while the red areas show you intense fighting between the Germans and the Russians. By late 1941, you have here the dotted line. This would be the Eastern Front that spanned about 1,600 kilometers. So you can imagine that was quite a large area.